Hi, everybody. Welcome to another awesome episode of the Beauty Outlaw. And today I'm bringing it home. I'm bringing it to my office, and I'm talking to you nurses, or you want to be nurses. People that are confused. Should they do it? Should they get into nursing? For what reason? Why? How you do it? How much does it cost? There's so many pathways. We're here today with two of my right-hand girls here at my office. One is graduating. She'll be graduated by the time this episode airs. She's getting her BSN, her bachelor's in nursing, so she'll be an RN. And the other one has been with me this March for 4 years. And I'm so proud of her, and she's finishing her second semester of nursing school. So we're going to sit down and break down what it's like, because I know a lot of you are nursing students now, or you're ready to start and you don't know. You're worried. What is this like? What is this all about? What does it really take? So we're going to break it down right now. And I'm going to start first, though, with Nadia. Now, you've all met, if you watch the other podcasts, you've all met Charlotte before. Most of you have, if you've seen the podcast, but you haven't been introduced to Nadia. Nadia came into the spa about 6 months ago or so, maybe more. And I want her to share her story first, how we met, how she decided to get into nursing, and everything about Nadia, where you grew up, everything. Go for it, Nadia.
Okay, so I'm Nadia. I grew up in San Diego in Chula Vista, and then I moved up to Carlsbad after high school. And I've always been interested in nursing since I was a child. I was playing with little doctor toys. I thought I wanted to be a doctor at first, and then I realized it's so much school. So I went the nursing route instead. And when I graduated high school, I didn't realize how difficult, how competitive those 4-year programs are. So I ended up going to community college, and I thought I need a plan B. So I went and got my degree in early child development. And I thought my plan B would be like teaching, maybe.
Was that an AA, Nadia?
I went bachelor's. I didn't get an AA.
Okay.
And then I still realized I wanted to do nursing. Part of that was I got really sick when I was up in my undergrad. And that kind of was a very personal event to me that made me want to show compassion and those aspects to other people that I didn't get when I was in the hospital and sick. So, yeah.
That resonates.
So I worked as a CNA when I was up at school getting my first degree. And that was interesting. It's interesting. I did acute rehab. And let's just say it was not my jam, but I stuck it out. I did it for a year, and I got a lot of good experience from that. And I did question nursing when I was a CNA. I did, but I realized it was just the environment I was in, not the field. So yeah, I graduated, and then I was doing my prereqs at the same time. So I did my prereqs and graduated in 4 years, and then I applied to Concordia University. I got in, and that's kind of, now I'm here. Now I'm going to graduate. Here. Yeah.
And we are so proud of you.
Thank you.
And this happens in a couple of days. She'll be walking down with her white jacket, right? And her hat. And we're very proud of you. And it's a very special time. And Nadia, share really quickly, you said you went to CNA school. Did you do that because the path forward for you was nursing, and so you needed to do that? Is that why you went into CNA? Okay. Okay. And so you got put into an acute rehab facility, and we've all been there. And God bless those patients that have a huge lack of care and compassion. And it does make you question nursing. And I love that you said that. But you didn't get into nursing for our world. My world of wellness, you got into nursing to be a nurse, right? And that's what you still want to do. You want to do bedside nursing. Mm-hmm. So Nadia is going to do that. She's going to start applying right when you take your NCLEX, right?
Currently still happening. Yeah.
Currently still happening. And share a little bit about how I love your ambition when you walked into a wellness environment to get a job with really no experience in nursing school. We were looking for a medical assistant, possibly. And it's a cool story because Charlotte actually interviewed you. Charlotte actually interviewed you. What made you interested in applying for a job like that while you were in nursing school with no interest really in wellness or aesthetics?
Yeah, so I definitely didn't know really anything about wellness. I did know about the aesthetic side a little bit. I've had nursing friends talk to me about it. I've had some friends who were nurses and then they went into this field. So I thought, you know what, like I'm interested. I don't really want a hospital job right now. So I came in and I did not know that you also did, I knew you did wellness, but I didn't know how immersed you were in that area. And once I learned more about that, I really became more interested in the health and wellness aspect of it. So I came in and I was honest and I was like, I have no experience in this. I don't really know anything about this world. It was like a whole new world to me, but I'm willing to learn and I'm interested in learning. So that's.
And she was going to graduate from school in about 6 months.
Yes.
Which means she's not going to last very long here because she'll move on and do other things that she's interested in nursing. But we took a risk and thought we could wheel her in to our little program over here. So we're happy to have you, Nadia, and we're super proud of you that you're graduating. We couldn't be more happy. You were just part of the team here. And we're going to get more into all these things like NCLEX and what it looks like, what type of school you went to, what it cost, all that. But I want to go to Charlotte. So for those of you that don't know Charlotte, because you didn't see the last episode, we're going to let her give her little background here, what got her started and what brought her into nursing school and why she even was interested in it. So go for it, Charlotte.
I never really knew that I wanted to go into nursing for a long time. It wasn't something that was like from childhood. I wasn't, I was always really interested in like animals and veterinary health. And that was like that was my jam. I was like, I want to go into, the veterinary world. And I knew I was interested in medicine of some sort, but I never really imagined myself going into nursing. And so I, after high school, or actually it was like my senior year of high school, I was working at a veterinary clinic for about a year, I think it was like a year and a half. And it didn't click for me. I was, I got so desensitized to, the love I have for animals. And
I know you love animals.
So I was like, I think I'm going to just have a lot of animals and then I'll...
and walk animals, walk dogs while you're going through school. I love it.
So I kind of steered away from that. And then I, at the time, I was really struggling with severe cystic acne and I got referred to Jerry. And so when I came in, after just like a few treatments, things were improving for me. I was using all of her products, all the things. And I was really talking to Jerry. I was like, I've never really met, an aesthetic nurse. I don't really know what this whole world's about, but I'm like kind of interested in skin. This is kind of a cool world for me, especially because I know what it felt like to have such bad acne and how that impacted my life. I was like, this would be so cool if I could go into this world and help other people. So kind of flash forward, I'm still doing treatments with Jerry. And I asked her, I was like, what would it look like for me to become an esthetician? What would, the schooling look like? So I was kind of looking into esthetician schools.
You wanted to be an
area.
esthetician. That was where you were really.
Yeah, that's kind of where it all started. And so I was diving into different, esthetician schools in the area. And then I don't really know where it flipped for me. But once you were kind of educating me on what the scope of practice looks like for esthetician versus, being a nurse in this field, I really was like, I think that I want to go into nursing. I think I can do so much more that I want to do for skin and, even going on beyond to injectables and Botox and things. And so I kind of started researching nursing school. I was super overwhelmed because there's so many avenues you can take. There's so many things that you have to do before you go. but I just decided, I was like, I'm going to do it. And I remember you telling me, you're like, it's not going to be easy, but you know, this is, if you want to take this path, here's like kind of what it looks like for you. And so it was so amazing, like having you as a mentor to kind of help and guide me in that knowledge, because I was so
it helps
confused.
when we have, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
Somebody that's already walked the path
Yeah.
can help you. It's
literally life-changing.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah. Like if I have any advice for anybody, it's to like have somebody in your corner that is a nurse, that has been in nursing school, to like kind of guide you through that, because it's super overwhelming. So I was looking more into, you know, more affordable programs in the area. And so I kind of landed on Saddleback and Santa Ana Community College. And so they're both really local. They're great programs. They have great reputations.
Great reputations.
And I had heard from, you know, many people that it was going to be really challenging to get into. You know, Saddleback was my first choice just because it's much closer to me. And but they, you know, I guess they have an amazing reputation for being very competitive and, you know, challenging to get in. So I, you know, kind of put all my eggs in that basket. I was like, this is affordable. It's local. It has a great reputation. I kind of knew that I would apply to other community colleges or programs that were near me that were in my price range to kind of like just in case. But for the most part, I was like, if I want to go to Saddleback, I'm going to go to Saddleback. So they do like a point-based system it's like 100 points. And so each different criteria you get different points for. So you'll probably get into all this stuff later, but like the
get into it.
The TEAS test, you know, the having experience, like you were saying, like a CNA gives you like a boost. I'm sure it's different for Concordia, but that gives you like an additional, it's like 25 points or something. So I got my CNA and then took all my prereqs. You know, in order to get a certain amount of points, you have to have a certain GPA. So all the things, you know, and then you get like a nice couple points for life experience. They're like, we'll throw in 2 points for you just because you've lived. So yeah, I ended up, you know, I think by the end of it, I had like 93 points or something. So I was like, I really hope I get in. I was like, this is, you know, it's like, I don't know where they cut off.
That's an excellent score, but it's a competitive school.
Yeah. So I was like, what is their cutoff for points? I don't know anything about this. This is so intimidating. Like, what if everybody has 95 points and I'm just, you know,
Right.
So I just applied. And then, you know, a couple months later, they sent me my acceptance. And I guess they had made the cutoff somewhat lower just based on applicants. Like they changed the, you know, cutoff score. So I had
like a bell curve probably thing. Maybe they review every now and then.
Yeah. So I think the cutoff was like 90 points, I think, or something like that. Or
before they wouldn't look at you if you didn't have more than 90 points.
Yeah, or it might have been 85 this semester. I think it varies depending on how many applicants
for you to put your
have.
application in. They need to see so many points.
Well, I think you can actually just put your application in and then they'll look through it. So like you can put your application if you only had 60 points and, you know, but I mean, every once in a while they'll grab somebody that has unexpected
a lower than expected and they'll do well.
Yeah. One of my good friends in my program, he is, you know, did not end up getting a CNA and he just threw it out there and was like, I'm going to go for it. And he ended up getting in. And so it, you know, it is very competitive. It's very challenging, but he had a 4.0 in all of his prereqs. He scored very highly on the TEAS. So he had other areas that kind of outweighed that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, I mean, now being in school, I'm like halfway through and it's crazy.
So let's I'm going to try to keep us going because the nurses or people that want to be nurses, or if you know somebody who wants to, or you want your kid to be a nurse, these are the things I want to go through. So I want to stay on track. So welcome, ladies, by the way. And thanks for being a part of my life. I love you both, and you're both very special to me. And so your advice is going to be really helpful for people that watch this. I'd like to start with the number one thing, if you go to ChatGPT, that people Google right now for nursing school is prerequisites. What do I have to do? What do I have to take? Now, I'm going to let you all, I know some of the answers to this, but I'm going to let you all, we'll start with Nadia, because is it school dependent, what you need to take, or are there just standard prereqs that you should work on?
There's definitely standard ones. However, some schools might throw in a couple that are not needed at other schools. But I would say for the most part, it is pretty standard, like your anatomy, your physio, your chem. I did, I don't know why I did it actually. I did like a Gen Chem, OChem, Biochem all in one. And I think you just needed like Biochem.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did
Yeah,
that.
I don't know why I did okay. Okay, Miss Doctor.
So yeah, psychology, for the most part,
Yeah.
I think it's pretty standard across the board.
Pretty standard. It's those sciences
Yes.
that are going to really impact in having a very high score.
A's pretty much. You want A's in those science ones. Yeah.
Now, to back up real quick, and I'm going to soften this part and then we'll move on. Private schools are different.
Mm-hmm.
Private schools will give you those courses when you apply, but they typically require a TEAS and or a HESI to be able to even get in and accepted to a private school, and you have to score over 60% on that test. Can anybody Charlotte, speak to the TEAS test? Because that's the standardized test really through the nation right now. So they're both pretty close. They're moving towards the HESI one, but speak to that test and what it's all about.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure how the private school route works just because I did something so different. But I think like in order to get a high score on the TEAS, you kind of have to go through all those prereqs. Like I waited, I started with anatomy and then I moved to physiology and then I did microbiology and then pharmacology. And while I was doing pharmacology, I did my CNA. So I did it over a 2-year span. You don't have to do that. I just needed to work and stuff during that time. So it ended up working out the way that it did. And I was patient enough to just go through that time. Some people, I know you've told me your story with it, that you kind of just went in and you were like, let's get this done.
Mm-hmm.
So for the TEAS, like once I wanted to wait until after I was done with physiology or microbiology to take the TEAS. So, and I actually didn't even take an updated chem because I had taken an AP chem in high school and ended up transferring my credits.
Nice.
Just based
I did
off
not know
of,
that.
Yeah, so just based off of like my score on the AP test, I was able to get my credits transferred, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a chem girl.
See where high school AP helps.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I managed to go through the AP chem, but like it was not fun.
Yeah.
And I was like, so then I guess, so after I finished microbiology, I started studying with a tutor. That was like life-changing. Even if you're not struggling, it's like I was getting A's in my classes, but this tutor, she was like the most amazing rock that I had. She was with all Saddleback students that were doing prereqs through the program. She had like Zoom lessons. She did in-person group, sessions. And so it was a bit of an investment at the time, but it was so worth it to me because I felt like this was like a study time that I had with somebody who has not only taken these courses, but she's very familiar with the instructors at the school.
Yeah.
She knows what all of this is about. So she was very supportive. That was so helpful. And then she actually had like a TEAS, like, little crash course, thing that we studied for. And so I really had to dive into chem a lot because I hadn't taken it in years. So there is a decent amount of chem on the TEAS. And so I think there's 4 sections, right? It's like science.
I actually didn't take the TEAS.
Oh, okay.
We didn't need it at Concordia.
Oh, wow.
So I managed to skip that.
Yeah.
That's a lucky one.
But we're like, wow.
Yeah. But I think that, so I guess
it's more
different.
ADN program. So your BSN, you went into a BSN with already having your bachelor's.
Yeah.
Probably looked at a little differently. And it is a private 4-year school that you're going to. It's not like a private West Coast nursing school where they're just in business to produce nurses. Where you went's completely different. So you didn't need to produce that. You had the knowledge of those skills to get into school, which thank goodness, because the TEAS is very overwhelming, can be for a lot of people. It was for me. I had to take that, and I struggled. It had been, I finished school in 1987, and so I hadn't taken my grammar, none of that. My English, my sciences. Now science had kept me through. I had done LVN and I had been dabbling in some prereqs, but it was it was very stressful, and I studied for several months before I took that test. So that would be some good advice. I love that Charlotte had a tutor.
Yeah.
So if you're going to find a tutor for TEAS, which is a great idea, make sure that tutor has a background maybe in their bio, that they help produce nurses through it. Hi, everybody. This episode is sponsored by Pretty Girl Cosmeceuticals. These products are the best. If you're not using them, you need to use them. You can contact JKH Aesthetics anytime, and we will give you a consultation about how to use these amazing products. We have Glow Girl and Ice Drops. These will keep you young, healthy, and glowing every day of the week. And now, back to the episode. So TEAS is important. So we're checking TEAS off the list here. So, and prereqs are important. And look into the school or type of school you want to go to and see what their prereqs are. And always start with anatomy, physiology if you want to check anything off. And also, if it's been several years since you've done these, if it's maybe some schools it's more than 5, you will have to repeat them. So just because you took it 15 years ago, you may have to repeat depending on what path you take. So just FYI.
And at Saddleback, they lock the courses if you haven't. Like, you had to take anatomy before physiology, and then you have to take microbiology before. So like, they kind of like unlock things as you go.
Prerequisites to the prerequisites.
Yeah, there's like, here's a path that this is what you do. And then just real quick on the TEAS, I feel like just to make a point of this, because I think it's so funny too, but there's 4 sections now that I'm just thinking about it. It's the science, math, English, and grammar, right? I think.
Yes.
Okay, so
all the key categories.
I did horribly in grammar, like embarrassingly horrible, because I neglected that. I was like, oh,
I'm going to focus on science.
I was like, I know grammar, but that was like the last section too. And I was like, I am a very fast test taker, so I blow through these things. And I like, by the end of it, I don't even think I was reading the questions. I was just answering it because I was like, duh, I know the difference between your and your. Like, but I did horribly. Like that is actually like that was my demise. You know, I still did well, but the grammar was
the grammar.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? I mean, the English and the grammar.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And history. Was it history? Wait, I forget now. There's 4 categories. I forget what they are. I know there's science.
Yeah, I think it's
math.
Science. Yeah, science, math,
Duh.
English.
Let's forget math.
The English
altogether.
is like reading comprehension.
Yes.
And they throw that at the start. So you're like, you have to really dive into these stories and like it's reading comprehension. So it was like horrible to digest all that and then have to go to science and all the chem and the things. So
all right. So now we've kind of beat it down with the TEAS. I think we've given some people an idea of what that's all about. Let's talk about the other thing is the competitiveness. Both of you had 2 different programs. Were they significantly competitive to get into? Were there a bunch of people that didn't get in and waitlisted and things like that? What does that look like?
So for Concordia, I'm actually not too sure.
Okay.
But I have heard that private schools are a little bit easier to get into, partly because a lot of people aren't willing to pay the amount that private schools will charge you compared to like public schools. We had a pretty large cohort, like 60 plus.
Okay.
I know that's something similar at public schools. I'm not sure about the acceptance rate. I actually looked that information up before getting into the school and I couldn't find anything. So I think private schools tend to keep that a little bit more. But I should clarify that the school that I attended, the program was accelerated BSN. So it was a 4-year program mushed into 15 months.
Yes. That looks completely differently.
Yes.
Can we speak to price range? What something like that? This is an accelerated BSN. She's already has prereqs.
Yes.
So because they won't accept you in a BSN program accelerated without already having those prerequisites, right? Okay. Cost-wise for something like that.
So Concordia is actually on the reasonable side of private school. Ours was a little over $60,000 for 15 months. And, you know, time is money, so you get it done pretty quick. However, I know like West Coast is over $100,000 for, I think, 2 years. So there's really like a range. You really got to do your research.
You got to do your research.
And figure out which ones are within your price range, because West Coast would not have been.
West Coast is about $175 if you don't have any prereqs. So if you're going in green and you've taken your TEAS, because they can't allow you in school without that. That's a BRN thing, a board of registered nurses. So you have to take your TEAS to get into a private program, and they'll give you all those prereqs there. They'll push you through those prereqs actually very softly. You're basically paying for them to, not everybody, this is going to sound really wrong because this is the kind of program I did, but I saw people get pushed through that shouldn't have been pushed, that shouldn't have gone through. A different program than the two that you guys went through. They were handhelded through because of money. And a West Coast program now I think is about $175,000 to get through. And then Charlotte, let's speak to an ADN program. So that's a 2-year nursing. That's old school nursing. That's hard school. That's hard knocks of nursing. Her program is hard to get into. Talk price, Charlotte, because this is local school.
Yeah. So even just to speak on like acceptance, we get, I think they said between 400 and 500 applicants per semester, and they only accept about 50 to 60.
Competitive.
Yeah. And so, but honestly, like you can find this online at Saddleback. Like they have a whole pamphlet thing, but I think what I'm personally spending is a little under $5,000.
Okay.
Wow. For 2 years.
Hence why it's competitive and why you have to really, really put the time in and dedicate the point system to be able to get into a program like that. But if you're young or younger and I think go for it. Give it a shot. It's the best way to try to get in. Try that first and then maybe start applying to the more expensive programs. They're not all $175,000. But go to a community college and get your prereqs and then apply to these private schools, because then you have to pay for those when you're in those programs.
The only thing that I will say is like Nadia is able to get everything done. I would probably because if you said it's a 15-month program, and then with your CNA and prereqs and stuff, like you're able to get it done in like 2 years, right? Versus like it's gonna take it. Like I've already been at Saddleback for 2 years,
right?
Plus this last year in the nursing program, plus another year. It's gonna take me like 4 years just to get my associates, and then I'll have to go back additionally for my bachelor's. So just bear that in mind, because that it's like time versus money, like. Right. Like you were saying.
But for context, I also did
already
4 years. So my mindset going into nursing school was like, I can't do I don't want to do another. I don't want to be in school for 6 or whatever years to get my BSN.
Yeah, right.
So I was looking for the quickest way I could do it.
So it's just, I guess, personal, like what you've been through, what education you've been through. I had already had my associates in business, but I, was like, I'm already here. I might as well just take it slow and do it. And so that was just like my plan that worked out that way. So just takes research on how much time and money you want to spend.
Exactly. Time and money. And prep. Like you have to be really, I don't want people to be afraid. I think you can do anything. I personally am not the smartest person. Like I didn't like school. I had a difficult time when I was in school. I didn't know till I went into LVN school in my 30s, because it didn't exist back when I was in school that I'm dyslexic. And so I struggled with the way I learned. And guess what? I did it. I found a way. I worked hard. It took me extra time, but I did it, and I did mine on the very expensive route. So my journey has been very expensive. When we're all done, when I graduate in June or July or whenever I graduate with my family nurse practitioner this summer, I will have spent way too much money on this whole thing. Charlotte will be the winner of the ticket by the time she's done, and you next. Now, listen, I don't want everybody to be afraid of like, these two are two sharp cookies. They're super smart. They're also very, they map out things. They're very intelligent about how their path in life, and not everybody's is the same. So if you're working that job right now, let's speak to that, because people have full-time jobs and families. Is this doable? Once you're in school, Charlotte, is this doable for somebody who works and has a family?
I feel like this is layered, because it's different for everyone. So like there is a woman in my program who has 4 children, and she was able to not work, and her husband was able to, take care of the finances while she was in school. But she does have 4 kids. So that in itself is like a full-time job.
Yeah.
So I guess to kind of break down like how much time is spent per week on like every semester has been slightly different, but this has been the most like intense semester out of the 2. The first semester I feel like was more of an intro based fundamentals. It's kind of like a CNA base, but you're getting some of that nursing process kind of embedded in you. And then second semester is like, it's intense. It ramps up, care plans ramp up, the material ramps up. It's more like pathophysiology based. You're really getting into that nursing mindset. So it's a huge
And
adjustment.
you're seeing patients, so you're doing some clinical work.
Yeah, we have a 12-hour clinical every week. So I think the main thing, it's kind of hard because everybody, like I said, everybody takes different amount of time for these things. So like I'm not a huge studier. Like I don't spend 20 plus hours studying for these exams, but that's just how I'm able to process information. And I have people that do work, I have a friend that works 2 night shifts a week, and she does need to study a lot for those exams, and she's able to work those 2 shifts. But my program says to not work more than 20 hours a week. Like that's their recommendation. Yeah. But there have been people that I know that work full-time, work full 40-hour weeks, and still manage to have their clinicals and do everything they need to do. I just think it depends on your time management, your organization skills, the way that you're able to study and, manage all of the information. It would be probably the hardest 2 years of your life. It is regardless, but I think it's just depends on I guess my recommendation would be when you start, whether it's at a, accelerated program, whether it's at an ADN program, I would say just start and see how you feel. You can always increase your work hours, hopefully, if you're in a position where you have that flexibility. But I would say lower it down when you start, and then you can increase from there and see kind of how you can manage things, because it's so personal. Like I've had so many people ask me, are you able to work? What are you able to do? And it's like, I can tell you how much I'm going to work, but that's going to be completely different for you.
Everybody's completely different. It also depends on outside support.
Yeah, for sure.
So what are the people surrounding you able to help you with? Because that's really the foundation. If you have good family at home, like say you're in a marriage and that marriage is supported. If you're in a marriage and maybe it's not as supportive, that's going to be more difficult. Parents that help out and support you emotionally and understand you are absent. You are emotionally absent even when you're there. You are present at Thanksgiving, but your mind is somewhere else. You are connected with your cohort, immensely connected to them. They are your internal support system. So you will really get close to your cohort. They will become people that are in a season of your life that you will never forget. Whether you go your own ways, I still thank God for Instagram. I can still stay connected with my cohort and see what they're up to and what they're doing. They're lovely human beings. They become brothers and sisters, and you really need to leverage that. And family needs to understand that they're kind of taking a back seat to those people and to that. Would you not agree?
I completely agree. Even like relationships, it's hard for them too. But if you have a supportive family or supportive relationship, they'll understand that you have a lot going on, and you do tend to prioritize your cohort, and they become your friends, your best friends, because they understand what you're going through as much as your other friends or your boyfriend or your mom and dad might understand what you're going through. No one really gets it unless they're in it with you. So it's kind of that thing.
And your loved ones, especially relationships, I think will speak to that, whether it's a boyfriend, a marriage, they lose a piece of you during this time. It's temporary. Yeah. Just remember, spouses and boyfriends and girlfriends, we come back. We just need that loving distance. We need you to be able to let us have a long chain and a lot of freedom when it comes to what we need to do, and we will bounce back to you. It's just, we're just in a moment of survival. and we're in a nursing program, and it's intense. So we can speak to whether it's accelerated or Charlotte gets her summers off. She's in a semester system, and it still is nasty no matter how you look at it. So, but doable, right?
Doable.
Doable.
If you have the passion for it. I think that's the biggest thing. If you're doing this for the wrong reasons, or, oh, I just want to work 3 days a week, or the money, I think it's not so doable because you don't have your heart in it.
Right.
But if you're really passionate about it, you'll get through it. You'll find a way to get through it.
You will.
Yeah.
That's really good
And it's
advice.
fun too. Like I feel like I've had so much fun. And Nadia and I, even before we did this podcast, we were talking about how we want to highlight like the positive parts of nursing school, because this can be a very like pessimistic environment and industry.
Well, I think you become kind of childlike a little bit with your cohort, and it gets fun. You get giggly and silly.
Yeah.
I mean, it is fun.
Yeah. And I just think, but like there's an overall theme of like maybe it's the jadedness of like the older nurses that have been doing it for a long time, or just people that like are ahead of you in the program. Like I've heard so much negativity around how hard nursing school is and how you're going to struggle so much. It's going to be the worst time of your life. Like, I mean, like
that's not.
And it's not that far off from the truth, but it's not the worst time of your life.
No.
And you do create good memories through it. It's doable if your heart's in it. So it's hard.
It's hard.
It's
for
hard.
Sure.
It's hard.
Yeah. It will be the hardest thing I've ever done.
Right. But it's worth it.
It's so rewarding.
And it doesn't matter, like you said, Charlotte doesn't need as many hours as, say, somebody like me needs to study for a test. But that doesn't change how hard it is for anybody in the program. You adapt, and your learning mechanisms, you want to really get in tune with how you learn, because some people are auditory, some people are visual. That's something advice I would give to people. I didn't do this. I did this later, but you can take a test that helps you. It's probably pretty reasonable online now, that teaches you an insight on how you learn. And that's a great way to prepare for your TEAS too, because you're going to need to dedicate time to that as well.
Yeah.
We'll move on from that, but do you guys have any survival tips, like mnemonics? Like, what are things that you do to get through? Like, you got a big test. Are there any study skills or any tips that you can give when it comes to having something stick?
Honestly, I wish I had something specific. I think with it being accelerated, I was literally in survival mode for the first 2 semesters at least. And so through that, I was learning myself what was working and was not working for me. I hadn't quite learned that doing the prereqs. So it was kind of like a shock factor the first semester. I would say self-care, but sometimes in an accelerated program, you don't have time for self-care. And that was the hardest part for me. I was getting so anxious, and I had a lot of anxiety because I just couldn't even go out for a 5-minute walk. I felt like I didn't have time to eat. I felt like I was waking up, hitting the books, going to sleep, waking up, hitting the books again. So I would just say my biggest advice would be remember why you started it, remember why you're doing it, and then those moments of reflection help you get through those tough times. But I don't really have everyone's different. I don't have a great way to say this is how you're going to get through it,
You'll find your way.
Yeah.
Some people meditate, some people pray, some people need their spiritual time with God, some people need a walk or a run, exercise. Whatever way you can release stress, tap into that now too, because that's something you can go to if you have that 5 minutes. Like you said, you get 5 minutes. You don't get time to go get a pedicure. That's for sure.
And I will just say, I feel like I kind of understand what you're saying. The prereqs are just so different. It's more memorization, more dense material to just flip through and memorize versus it's so application based in nursing school. And that that mindset shift is was so difficult, because to study for that, it's yeah, you can learn all this material, but to actually be able to take it from a book and apply it to a patient scenario or a situation is completely different. So I feel like I honestly would just go through different scenarios of practice questions and go through things like that. That was my best way to practice, was doing practice questions and doing different things. Like they provide some like platforms and stuff, like, you know, on, I think we use SurePath. It's like just another platform where they provide different questions. And that was really helpful because I would go read through my notes and stuff, but I would really, you know, I would also talk things out with a friend and go and study with friends. Like that's super helpful. And then just kind of like going through that, like how can I take like this information and actually apply it? I keep hitting the mic. Sorry.
That's okay.
And just like being able to kind of put that into a real life situation. And
That's why when you graduate, you're a novice nurse your first year out. It takes, I forget the steps. You've got the novice nurse, which is your first year out. Then it moves into the experienced nurse,
I think
1 to
so,
3
and it's
years.
expert.
Your expert isn't until like 7+ years, because it takes time and patient care to adapt all that stuff you were crammed in your brain, and you actually now have to put into place. When you're the bedside nurse, which everyone really, it's very important to go spend your time as a nurse out, just a bedside nurse in the hospital. Your foundation there and your value to the profession and the way you can give back to the profession later is so important, to actually treat others and care for others and learn. Before you jump into everybody's really interested in wellness. Everyone's really interested in aesthetics. We have a whole group of people getting into nursing school for that reason only. And that's not bad. I think that's awesome. But I also don't want to lose positions. It's competitive. So we have a nursing shortage. We really do. We have a lot of nurses coming out, but a lot of them are not working in the hospital. What have you all seen in the hospital that was shocking to you? Is there something that you had a preconceived idea and you went in and you thought it was different and it is not? You were disappointed.
I think that nursing, like every other career or job, it becomes your job and you stop having that same passion for it. Obviously, like you just finished school. I'm still in school, so we still have that like fire passion for like caring for people the way that they deserve to be treated. But I think that was kind of, I saw it a little bit like in, you know, the CNA world, like the acute rehab and those things. But to see it in an acute care hospital, you're kind of just like disappointed in some of the shortcuts that nurses take and just doing things not exactly by the book. And I know nursing school really teaches you, like they really slam you like the abide by the rules, you know, but I think that there's even things, it's like not necessarily that the patient's at risk for anything. It's just like, oh, you didn't go above and beyond. Like you didn't do the utmost that you could have done for that patient today. And that's just kind of a bummer. You know?
I think the burnout was kind of shocking to see, and you could see it carry over into the patient care. Like nursing school really emphasizes therapeutic communication. And I would be in my rotations and wherever in the ED, and a patient would be requiring therapeutic communication. And I just didn't really see a lot of that. I saw the nurses kind of give up on that a little bit. Probably just burnout again, like the staffing, it makes it so hard to be able to put in that time to give therapeutic communication and show some more compassion for patients. So that was kind of shocking for me because, I mean, they emphasize it so much in nursing school, but you don't see it in practice as much. But
did you guys see a lot of, or are you seeing, I should say, a lot of, they've really pushed into collaboration, which is layered care for patients that I feel is flawed. It separates the hub of patient care, which starts with the nurse, and it gives it up to other entities, whether it be rehab, whether it be PT. You've got all these different people that come in and assess the patient, and the nurse herself has kind of lost control over that eye-on assessment. It used to be the nurse was the one that basically decided who needed to come in and see the patient and what the patient's needs were. Now that appears to be, not that it's a bad thing, but it's so layered that communication gets missed. Do you guys see that a little bit? Like sometimes the nurse doesn't know that what was ordered for the patient because it's PT, because nobody communicate. Meanwhile, she's got the patient up and going, and there's got a different order. It's a thing.
I think I've seen it but my clinical rotations weren't as extensive as Charlotte's because we are accelerated. But I've seen bits of that, not too much though. But I've definitely seen it at times where there's like a miscommunication and the patient has a certain order for how they can ambulate, and then the nurse walks in and PT's ambulating them a totally different way, and it's like, well, that's not the order I was given. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that more, maybe.
Yeah, I think that like the way that I've only used Epic for the hospitals I've been at, so Epic is great. I mean, they have like all the specific orders for the patient laid out. I think there's orders like the sequentials that don't get put on, or things that just don't get done. Like strict INOs don't really get adhered to, and those kind of things. But I feel like for overall communication, I think I have definitely seen good communication at the hospitals I've been at, and that might just be hospital specific, but there's definitely been times where I'm like, why didn't they know about that? Or like, why wasn't that talked about? Or, and that could just be, like, oh, I forgot to tell them, or I wasn't thorough enough about communicating that. And like I even was with a palliative care doctor that, he took me down to the ED for a consult, and he was telling me like how you have to do a full circle communication. Like he walked in and got, the background from the nurse, and then talked to the emergency doctor, and, talked to the family, and just really communicated thoroughly, like a full circle, to make sure everybody was on the same page. And I think that doesn't always happen for sure.
And what I was getting at is that used to be the nurse's responsibility that took place. Mm-hmm. The full circle was what the nurse did. Mm-hmm. She made sure everybody was informed. Everybody had the same information, because her job is that patient. Mm-hmm. And that patient's emotional, physical well-being is in her hands. I feel like that's gone away. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's no longer, the nurse feels she doesn't have that responsibility anymore. It's kind of been taken away from her. And I feel like we need to put that back in the hospitals to empower our nurses to have a say about their patient, because they're the ones with the eyes and ears. They're the ones hearing all the complaints from the family. Mm-hmm. They're the ones talking to the CNA. They're the ones talking to the doctor. They have all this information, and they've been kind of, their arms have been tied a bit on what they can do. And I think we need a little bit of that back, a little bit of nursing empowerment back in the hospital. Yeah. Because they deserve it.
I do also notice, I don't know if you've seen this, but I feel like the nurses are scared to bug the doctors.
I've seen, yes. Mm-hmm.
So they the main thing is we're patient advocate. Like, we're supposed to be pushing for things. You're not trying to make friends. Mm-hmm. Obviously, professionalism and being kind to your coworkers and things, but we're not trying to be like bestie and not bug the doctor. It's like, if you need something done, you need to advocate
mm-hmm.
for it.
Doesn't matter if it's 2:00 in the morning or not.
You need to bug the doctor. Yeah. You need, if it's something, I'm going to talk about a specific scenario, but I had a patient that had a G tube, which is just basically a tube that is connected from, the stomach, and you feed the patient through the tube. So I'm explaining it to you guys as if you don't know, but
well, you're explaining it to the audience.
So the tube was had so much leakage. It was pulling out way too much residual, like absurd amounts. It's just, the patient was nauseous. It was a disaster. And it was just you could clearly see that the tube was not in the correct place. The patient was not feeling well. The family was concerned. And the nurse messaged the doctor once and said, hey, this is happening. What are next steps? 2 hours go by, and she's said this doctor can be very volatile and can be upset at, if we bug him too much. And so she still hadn't sent another message. And I was like, this isn't something that's just can be ignored. Mm-hmm. So, and she, didn't call the doctor. And I was kind of pushing. I was like, shouldn't we message the doctor again? And that's another thing is we as nursing students feel like we have no power, and that we are just in the way, and that we're just following these people around. But we are just as much advocates for that patient while we're there at the hospital. We obviously within respective bounds to the nurse and
it's the one time you have that time to be but to a patient. You get 1 or 2 patients that you follow, 3 sometimes.
We follow all 4 of the nurses' patients, but we focus our material, our assignments, on 1 to 2. But I think like you can advocate for that patient. You can ask the nurse, hey, are we supposed to do this for the patient? Are we supposed to do this? And, you know, like if they don't do it, that's on them, but we can at least advocate for them and help them while we're there.
Yes. So. We need a lot more of conviction in us nurses out there. I think we've lost our way a bit. I don't think it's our fault. I think it's the system. Yeah. I think it's the way the system's been changing over the last decade. And it's focused on a lot more protecting your license and making niceties with everyone around you and not overstepping the collaboration of others instead of really what the nurse is there for. And a doctor values that nurse. He may be pissed that you call him at 2:00 in the morning, but he's the one that eventually you're the one he wants watching your client or your patient, his patient, because that's the eyes and ears. The nurse is the eyes and ears. So there's a lot more to nursing. Now, to wrap things up, what do you girls want to do in nursing? You're done. I know you're getting ready to apply. What is it that you want to do?
Bedside, I have my preferences, of course, but the market's a little tough right now, so you have to be pretty open to anything. I loved labor and delivery, but I think I want to go more the critical care route. But again, I know that's competitive, so I'm open to med surg, I'm open to tele, step down, observation unit, whatever I can do to get my feet in, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, feet in the door.
Feet in the door. So yeah, I'm just open-minded right now, as open-minded as I can be.
That's perfect. Chach, what about you? Oh, we call her Cha-Cha.
I think that I still have so much to see. You know, I haven't had my pediatric rotation yet and my OB rotation, so I'm open to things. I definitely want bedside experience. I do see myself eventually down the line in the aesthetics world. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I think now that I'm kind of in school, it's exciting to see like how much I can do.
I know what that looks like, but I'm not saying anything. I've always had big goals for all you girls and where you want to, just want you guys to be where you want to be. Yeah. I love that Charlotte still wants to be in the aesthetics world, whatever way that looks, like you said, whether it's skin, whether it's wellness, whatever it is. And who knows? I know you're interested in the wellness side too. That may take you later.
Charlotte. I just don't know what it would look like.
Yeah.
But definitely still interested.
Yeah. I do like, I don't, again, I'm only halfway through. I don't know what any of this looks like yet for me, but I really am interested in the holistic health world and potentially getting more education on holistic health and different things like that. So I think that, but I do feel like I have a lot of options and I don't know yet. So
well, our parents or our loved one that is in the hospital is going to be ever so grateful to have two nurses like you taking care of them.
Thank you.
No matter what way that looks or how long that looks, trying to package up and bottle nurses like you, we should be paying those nurses like you guys a lot more money to stay somewhere and to work because they're really not making a lot of money coming out of school. It's decent. And what does that look like? So also, ladies out there and gentlemen, there are programs out there in different states and in our state, it exists sometimes and sometimes it doesn't, where they'll actually pay your tuition off. So you can check into program. Are you looking into things like that, right? Where they pay it off, they give you a signing bonus? Does that still exist right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Kaiser is one of those that still does that.
Okay. And you have to like work there for so many years, right? You have to commit. Okay. So those do exist. And that is really great because if you spent $200,000 on getting your private nursing degree, and you want to get into something, doesn't even matter if it's aesthetics, you're not going to pay that back right away. That is going to take a long time. So these signing bonuses are really kind of a cool way to look at it too. So where can we find you ladies on Instagram?
It's just my full name, Charlotte Bushman.
Same here. It's just Nadia Borche.
Perfect. And you can always find them on JKH Aesthetics here with us. I never want to let these two go, but I know girls have to land. You have to let birds fly. then they always tend to come back to the nest eventually. They never forget where the nest is. So I love this time we've spent together, and hopefully the people that do listen, it's helped them. And if they have any questions, they can always reach out. There is a lot involved in this nursing situation that we've all been through, and we've all done it. So it's doable. So don't be afraid to do it. Just do it. One foot in front of the other, and it's not going to look the same as ours. It'll look like yours. So welcome to the world of nursing, everybody. So we always end with a toast here on the Beauty Outlaw. So Matt, will you bring us over our little toast? So at the end of the Beauty Outlaw, Nadia, we always end it with a toast.
Thank you.
Chin chin. And what I think we should do today is we should actually toast to all those hardworking nurses, nursing students, and those of you thinking to get into nursing. But number one, I think we should toast to those patients that have been, everybody should be a patient, by the way, so you can experience that. But let's toast to all the people in the world of wellness, including our overall healthy wellness. So cheers.
Cheers.
Chin.
Cheers.
Chin. See you next time on the next episode of the Beauty Outlaw.